Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today we'll be talking about the hero Lancelot. Lancelot passive makes him deal more damage every time he does a dash. His damage will increase up to 4 times 7.5% for a max of 30%. Lancelot's first skill makes him charge towards a direction, dealing damage to the enemies that he passes through and applying a sword mark to them. If they do not have a sword mark, then the skill's cooldown will actually reset. Lancelot's second skill makes him attack in a triangle, dealing damage to enemies 3 times when they are inside the triangle and slowing them down. The closer the enemies are to the center of the triangle, the more damage that is dealt to them. Lancelot is invulnerable when he uses this skill. After charging for a while, Lance ulti makes him strike forward, dealing damage. Lancelot is invulnerable during the skill, but not during the charging portion of the skill. There are many combos for Lancelot, but to maximize his passive, this is the most basic combo that you can use. Basically, you have to choose 4 different targets to dash through so that you can use your skills at the end and then deal the most damage to the last target. Lancelot is a very good assassin to use in an MLBB game, but like a lot of other assassins, he has a very high skill cap, or basically you have to have very fast fingers in order to use Lancelot and fast reactions. He is quite difficult to learn, but once you have mastered him, you will be able to kill a lot of enemies very fast and burst them down. Right now I feel it's the assassin meta and Lancelot plays very well the jungle role. He can also play the goal lane role if you already have another assassin as the jungler. This is my emblem and build for Lancelot. Some people might want to build War Axe before they build Endless Battle, but I like to build Endless Battle so that I can continuously mana regen so that I can use my skills and don't need to go back to base to heal. Lancelot needs to have mana so that he can continuously dash and proc his passive as much as possible. This is a very standard build for a physical jungler or physical fighter, so you can actually follow this for quite a lot of heroes. Spell wise, if you're playing jungler, you will definitely use Retribution. If you're playing Lancelot in the side lane, you can consider using Execute to get that final shot off. Or if you're facing against a CC heavy team, then Purify is your best friend. Now without further ado, let's get into the gameplay. So some people might wonder what the different retributions actually do and what they're good for. So I believe that the Bloody Retribution is good against very tanky heroes. Basically, if they have a lot of HP, you can use it so that you can gain more HP from them when you Retribution on them. I think that Flame Retribution is most effective on one-on-one situations, so junglers like Alpha or Alucard can possibly benefit the most from this. My personal favorite is the Ice Retribution because it makes things easier when I'm trying to chase an enemy or when I'm trying to run away from enemy in dire situations. When you jungle in the early game, always try to put the buff as much as possible in the center so you do the most damage to it. Once you get to level 2, you can use your first skill before using your second skill to deal the most damage to the jungle monster by proccing your passive. One tip that some players might not know is that this swirly thing that pushes you in one direction actually procs Lancelot's passive, so with his first skill I can actually proc my passive 2 times. When you take the blue buff, do your first dash through the smaller monster, then your second dash through the bigger monster so that you can proc as much passive as you can. If you see that the enemy jungler is low, you should always try to go in and try to get a kill so that you can actually gain some early lead by killing him. When you're fighting the enemy jungler, always be aware of what buff they have. Here I saw that the Granger only had his blue buff, so I assumed that he was going for his red buff, so that's why I ambushed him. Please excuse my amateur use of Lancelot skills in this game because this was the first game of the day. Because Lancelot's ult has quite a short cooldown, about 20 plus seconds, you can actually use it to clear the jungle monsters or even the objective. Enemy minions and jungle creeps are basically Lancelot's walking path. You can use your first skill to dash through them, proc your passive, and to get to your enemy target much faster. As long as Lancelot is not controlled very much, he can actually use all his dashes to make a very good escape. Here you can see I use my ultimate to escape so that I can deal a little bit more damage to the enemy at the same time. Standard thing to do as a jungler is to steal the enemy's jungle so that you can increase your farm and delay enemy jungler's farm. One thing about using Lancelot's first skill is that you have to be aware of who you have already placed a sword mark on, so you don't accidentally waste your first skill's cooldown. A jungler shouldn't needlessly chase an enemy so that he can get a kill, because sometimes there are other targets that you can possibly kill that easier. Always remember that once Lancelot has his dash skill, you should always try to run away from him if you're on a sliver of health, and especially if there are enemies between you. Don't always try to steal the buff, especially when you don't have retribution and there is a possibility that enemies are ganking on you. Lancelot users should always pay attention to the map so that he knows where enemy heroes are, so that he can actually use his dashes to try to get to them as fast as possible. Always pay attention to the map. Here I saw the Xbox sneakily walking into the bush thinking that he could ambush me. Remember that the objective of the game is to try to take towers, so always try to focus on the objective here. But honestly, this team didn't even need me to take the tower. With the Hanabi and the Zilong, they were just tower taking machines already. Now this game was a loss, but I wanted to show you the mistakes that we made within this game. Sorry that it's also a recorded video. I forgot to turn on the recording when I was playing this game. I know previously I said that you should try to take the buff away from the turtle, but in some cases you should try to take the blue buff first. Blue buff reduces your skills cooldown and reduces the mana use, so it's actually a very good thing for Lancelot. If a Tigreal or a Jawhead comes in to invade your buff like this and they waste their flicker, don't bother chasing them, just try to continue taking your buff so that you don't fall back in farm unless you're very confident of killing the enemy. Here I didn't want to waste my retribution because I saw that my team was contesting for the Little Wanderer and I felt that we had a strong chance of fighting because of the fact that the enemies were not early game heroes. One way to take the turtle at the end is to use your second and third skill before you retribution the turtle so that the enemy won't be able to estimate how much damage they need to deal and when to go in to steal it. Over here I made a mistake. I should have waited for my tank to actually go in to initiate and stun the Brody before I actually go in. If I had done so, it would have probably been a guaranteed kill because the Brody would have been stunned and he wouldn't be able to use his skills on me. Likewise, here was a very poor engage from the Popo tank. He wasn't at full health and at this point he still hadn't built his tank build yet, so he was still a little bit squishy. A tip is to try to proc your passive through minions. You can always dash diagonally so that you can proc the passive 2 or 3 times before you go in to fight enemies. One of the very main reasons why we lost this game is because my team was not objective focused at all. Here you can see only my Paquito is trying to take the tower. The Sylvana, the Popo are all stuck in the mid trying to clear the lane even though there's a top tower that is open. Here you can see that even though the Paquito got a kill off the Brody, he didn't continue to push the tower. Instead, he went to take the jungle, which made no sense at all because there's no need for him to take jungle. He can push the tower and get even more gold from that. At this point I was getting a little bit fed up because I felt that my team was very focused on trying to get kills, which did not make sense because we were winning the game, but they did not want to push in order to extend our lead further. Instead, they were letting the enemy push the side lanes for no reason at all. Brody was taking free farm at the side and the tables will slowly turn if we did not take objectives. Here it was a very poor engage choice for me because the Tigreal still had his skills and I shouldn't have gone in because I didn't know whether Odette had her out or not. Instead of pushing lanes, my Paquito, Valia and Popo decided that they can 3v4 and my Sylvana decided that she wanted to fight and not push the lane. Magic Burst is crazy, man, especially with the magic penetration nonsense. Even after the Lord had been slain, the Paquito decided that instead of going for objectives and pushing the side lanes, he'll go in for a fight against the Kaja. This was a very poor decision by me. I should have gone for the backline that was hiding at the back, especially for like Brody and Kaja, because I know they had used their skills already previously on the Sylvana and the Paquito. But ultimately, we lost this game because we were not objective focused. Our fighters just continued to try to pick fights and then lost when they were one-on-one. So we lost the game in the end. But I guess this was still a good learning experience. And we've come to the end of the video. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please leave a like and subscribe, and comment below what other videos you would like to see me put out about Mobile Legends.